Hi, everybody. This is Meg Meeker, pediatrician and author and speaker. And today we're going to be having a really fun webinar. We're going to be talking about you and your parenting. So I haven't started yet. If you have any friends that would like to join us, text them, DM them, whatever, and tell them to hop on. Really, this is a webinar for parents of kids of all ages. Even if you've got a kid, an adult kid who's 25, jump on. When I was younger and my kids were home parenting, I was really hesitant to do a lot of parenting webinars or read books because I thought all they're going to do is make me feel terrible and tell me what I'm doing wrong. I don't do that. My job in everything I do, whether it's the books or a webinar or a video, is to help you parent your way. I offer advice, I offer best practices, I talk about what I read and what I've experienced, and I've been practicing pediatrics for almost 35 years now, and I love, love, love it. But what I really try to do in a lot of the work and the presentations that I give to parents is rather than tell them what to do, try to show them how their kids see them. So when you walk in a room and your 12-year-old sitting at the table, what does that 12-year-old think in that moment? What do they want from you? And I think that once we can get into our kids' world, whether they're 2 or whether they're 15 or whether they're 20, that's when we're going to have a much better relationship with them. So I kind of encourage parents to parent backwards, if you will, sort of from the inside out, from the child's perspective. Now, that doesn't mean you let your kids tell you what to do or run the show or anything. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's very different from what other parenting experts talk about. Because I've listened to thousands of kids over the years, I know what they think about their parents. I know what they say about their parents and what they want from their parents, but their parents just don't know. So I mean, I'm not a counselor, but I really try to help parents understand their kids. And a lot of what I do it was really fun. I have a kid in my office and I have the parent, and I don't let either one talk unless I tell them to talk. So if one interrupts the other, they can't do that because I'm going to reprimand them. But I help the child communicate to their parents. And it's really amazing to see because a lot of times the parents think, "You're kidding me. I never thought you believed that," or "That's not what I meant when I said that." A lot of the communication between parents and kids is like this because a kid's a kid. Adults can get on the same wavelength. It's really hard for kids and parents to do that. So today we're going to be talking about, I'm going to give it one more minute. So if you have friends to join, we're also going to be recording this. So if you don't get a chance to watch the whole thing now, or you want a friend to see it, just go to meekerparenting.com and we'll make sure that your friend gets to see it, your husband gets to see it, or you need to rewatch it. So that's what we're going to do. I also have a fabulous forum on my website, Meeker Parenting, and it's really sort of a parent group, and I'm in there. And you ask questions. It's live. It's dynamic. If something's really burning on your heart and you need to know, ask me. If you have suggestions about topics that you'd like me to talk about or video to make about, or video to make, I'm happy to do that. I'm on pause from writing books and on pause from a lot of things. So I'm really devoting my time just to you guys and to the Parenting Great Kids community, PGK community. So it's on my website, and I strongly recommend you go there and give us a try. The purpose is really to be fun and to encourage you. So much discouraging out there for you, so many wacko messages. And I really want to just kind of help straighten you out, encourage you if I can. So I think we'll get going. We're going to talk, today we're going to be talking about you, as I said. We're going to be talking about your parenting style. Now, a lot of parents have never heard about a parenting style, but a lot of people have, and they say, "What's my style? How am I parenting? Am I doing it Am I communicating well? Am I too harsh? Am I too passive? Am I disciplining well? Am I over disciplining? So that's what we're going to talk about. And you learn that by understanding your parenting style. Because your parenting style has a huge impact on who your child becomes. It shapes their self-esteem, their identity, their sense of self. It gives them an understanding of who they are and who they need to become. So let's go ahead and we're going to talk about you. And I'm going to start off by talking about the four fundamental parenting styles. So can we have the next slide? The parenting styles were originally created by a woman named Diana Baumgard, and brilliant lady. And she recognized that there were different ways that people were parenting. And so she broke them down in a very specific way. Now, there are four parenting styles I'm going to talk about. Each style has a little branch. Okay, you've got the helicopter parent who works in there, who's kind of a cross between an authoritarian and permissive. So, four styles: authoritative, authoritarian, easy to get confused, permissive, and neglectful. Well, I'll bet you today most of you are authoritative. How do I know that? Because you're here. You want to learn how to communicate and how to listen. Authoritative is what you really want to be. The authoritative parent is the one who allows relationship to go both ways. It's not necessarily driven by the parent or driven by the child. The authoritative parent is one who understands their personality, who they are, pretty much, who said, I want to make sure my child feels loved, that we have a good connection, that they feel warmth from me, but that they also understand I drive the bus. Now, I'm not going to force them to do a lot of things, but I am the one who sets the rules, I set the boundaries, and in a very firm but kind way, I say, if you cross this boundary, stay out past your curfew. You know, run in the street and I told you to stay away from the curb. Here's what's going to happen. They don't scream, they don't yell. Well, we all scream and yell, but fundamentally, this is where they're landing. They are open with their communication and they encourage their kids to be independent, but when a wise parent, when you're encouraging your child to be independent, is say, okay, here's what I encourage you to do. Try it on your own, but without the child knowing, stand right behind their back so that you can always make sure they don't get into danger. And that's a terrific way to parent. Let me give you an example. A parent who is an authoritative parent and wants their kids to feel their warmth and their love, because an authoritative parent always shows their child affection. They give them attention. Now, I don't mean they watch them every, minute of the day, but when they're talking to them, they're looking them in the eye and they're sitting there and they're listening. Authoritative parent would do something like this. Jenny, when you go on a date, let's say we'll jump ahead and you're 16, I need to meet the boy and you're not allowed to get in his car. And I expect you to be home at 10 o'clock. Mom, that's not fair. That's not fair. And you'll sit there and you'll listen and you'll disagree. And then when you hear her out and she's complained and all this kind of thing, she can't be rude. She's complained. You say, you know what? I know it isn't fair. It doesn't seem fair, but those are the rules. So when you do this, don't break a rule, because then I will need to give you a consequence like take your phone away or whatever. An authoritarian parent, on the other hand, would go, okay, Jenny, you can go out this guy now, but here's the thing. You can't stay out past 10 o'clock. You can't get in his car. You can't do this. You can't do this. I don't like this. You shouldn't be dating. This is dangerous. But you can do it only this once. But Dad, be quiet. You're disrespecting me. You're not listening to me. Yeah, but Dad, I really think, no, be quiet. They motor over you. They motor over you. Authoritative parent wouldn't motor over you. They tell kids what the deal is and what the boundaries are. They do so in a warm way that said, I'm doing this because I know better. I'm old and you're young, and I'm doing it because I love you. So you've got a great combination, a great balance between the warmth that you're giving, the affection, and the understanding, but you're also standing your ground, and you also are in charge. You're the leader of the home. And there's a critical reason you need to be the leader of the home in your kids' eyes. We'll talk about in a minute. Authoritarian parent. This is the military sergeant. You've all known this parent. Maybe your parent was like that, your mom or your dad, or at least you had a friend whose parent was like that. The parent where you walk in the house and you're scared, you just kind of stand there, you don't want to talk because you don't want to get yelled at, where you feel everything you do might get you into trouble. Kids around an authoritarian parent are on guard a lot because they feel that their parent is criticizing them, watching them. An authoritarian parent, they say, I'm in charge, I'm the smartest, it's my way or the highway. Deal with it or don't. And if you don't accept it, go to your room, do this, whatever. Very low on warmth. They tend to focus on rules. They tend to focus on getting their way. They tend to care less about what their kids think. They don't listen to their kids very well because many feel their kids don't have much to say, okay? Or that the child's opinion isn't important. And they don't want their child to talk to them after they've given instruction because they perceive that as disrespect. And I've seen that. Now, an authoritarian parent would be the kind of thing, Jenny, I gave you this bike. You're 10. You can ride your bike. You have to wear your helmet. You can only go out when I say so. And if you use your bike when I haven't told you to use it and you haven't gotten permission that hour to use it, I'm going to take the bike away for a week. Yeah, but Dad, I liked it. It doesn't matter. I told you, you can't ride your bike unless you ask me first. But I know, don't talk back to me. So the kid doesn't get a word in there. What the kid feels is, gee whiz, I can't have any control over when I ride my bike, but I'm 10 and I think I should be able to ride my bike on our dead end circle drive at our road. But anytime the child tries to talk or have a conversation, it's perceived as disrespect and talking back because the authoritarian parent really feels intimidated by what the kid has to say. And that's the bottom line. The authoritarian parent really feels kind of insecure, and that's why they have to motor over people. So, strict rules, obedience at all costs, high boundaries, you better not plow through them or jump over them. And they tend to be very withdrawn and withhold a lot of affection or attention. So, authoritarian, the military sergeant. Now we go to permissive, opposite end. I see a lot of this in parents now because many have been raised by an authoritarian parent and say, I'm never going to do that. So they become a permissive parent. They love their kids, wonderful, show a lot of affection, show a lot of attention. They believe that their kids should make all the decisions. Having kids make decisions, wonderful. However, what a permissive parent fails to understand is that some kids, it depends on their age. A 2-year-old can only make decisions according to his 2-year-old mind. A 15-year-old can only make decisions according to their cognitive ability. And permissive parents tend to allow their kids to make age inappropriate decisions, to make adult decisions, though they don't realize it, when they're too young to do that. So they have very few boundaries. Nope, you decide what you want to do. You decide when you want to ride your bike. If you know what, if you feel you're mature enough at 14 and you're a girl and you are mature, more mature than most boys, sure, start to date. It's really okay. But just after you go on a date, let's just talk about it. Whenever you feel it's okay to come home, I trust you, totally trust you. You can have social media on your phone at 10 because you're a good kid. I know you're a good kid. I know you're not going to get in trouble and I trust you. Problem. You're trusting a 10-year-old child with things that could hurt them, to cause them to fall into trouble. And the reason you're doing it is because you believe your child is capable of making decisions that will keep him or her out of trouble. So permissive parents are well intended. The problem is they're making mistakes and they're letting their child sort of out into the Wild West, having no idea how to navigate it. Low boundaries, a lot of warmth. I love you. You can choose your path. Now, it's one thing to tell a 10-year-old, hey, if you're going to cook dinner tonight, that would be great. Cook whatever you like, we'll eat it. Fine, perfect. But you don't tell that 10-year-old it's okay to sit in their room on social media for 2 hours in the evening. You can't, because they don't know how to navigate it. Permissive. Now, remember, as I talk about these, many of us are part one and part the other. Okay. You're not fully permissive or fully authoritarian. Neglectful. You're not neglectful. I hope, I doubt it if you're watching this. They're basically not present. It's the parent who works all the time, maybe sees the kids a little bit in the evening, barely says hello, barely says, how was your day? They walk in the house and they're looking at the phone all the time. No, it doesn't mean everybody who looks at the phone a lot at home is neglectful, but they tend to look at their phone too much to be more interested in things around them than in their kids. And that's where neglect comes from. They're uninvolved. I don't need to go to your soccer game. You know, your coach is coaching. That's fine. I have stuff to do on a Saturday. Or no, you don't need to have your friends over on the weekends because I'm so tired and I'm busy. Just deal with it. Go find something to do. So they're sort of there, but they're really not there. And I think that for many of us women, I did this with husbands, is we teach them that we're sort of the epicenter of the family unit and we want the control. So we tell our husbands sort of orbit the family, like, don't get involved until I tell you need to be involved. So we're basically setting up our fathers to be kind of neglectful and uninvolved. Can't do that. Okay, let's move on. So as I said, we're all part of one of those. Before I go on, helicopter parents, where do helicopter parents fall? Helicopter parents they indulge their kids. They tell their kids that they're amazing and they're wonderful and they're going to succeed when they grow up and this is great. But, so that's permissive, but they're authoritarian in the way that they control the kid. Their kid will go off to college and they will go to college and do the kid's laundry because they believe only they can do it right. So in one way, they're telling the kid, you're running the show, you're perfect, you can make great decisions, but they're hovering to make sure the kid makes the decisions they want to make. So see how that's a combination? Where does your parenting style come from? This is kind of the fun part. And this is the place where if you're making mistakes in your parenting, you can blame somebody else. And, you know, and it's legitimate. I mean, it's really legitimate. Two places your parenting style comes from. One, your personality. We're all born different. You know, I'm a very patient, sort of low-key person most of the time. I was born that way. You know, I have a brother who's very low-key, a brother who's very, very intense. Came out just that way, okay? And you know that if you've raised more than one child. Your children all different. Personality is going to drive how they parent. The second is what I call preload. Your experiences and feelings about yourself and your parents and parenting in general that you take into your parenting, okay? Your history of your emotional self and your mental self launches into parenting. That's good and that bad. So in order to figure out why you do what you do, maybe you yell at your kids and you hate yourself for it, but you can't control it. And you've been doing this since the moment you started parenting. Do you want to be yelling? No. Why are you yelling? Well, maybe you're short-tempered. Okay, deal with that. Or maybe nobody ever let you talk. Or maybe somebody yelled at you real frequently. Or maybe you had a parent that you were afraid of. And it's all kind of coming out in your parenting. Again, I'm not a psychoanalyst or a psychiatrist or anything, but this is just common sense. In order to parent well, you need to know how you're parenting and you need to know why you're parenting that way. So if you find that you have habits in your parenting, maybe yelling, maybe being short-tempered, maybe just being fun, okay? Much of it comes from your history as a kid. Now, if you're having trouble communicating and connecting with your kid and you find your kid is sort of always mad at you or irritated and doesn't want anything to do with you, maybe it has something to do that you're projecting on your kid that was projected onto you. If you grew up with a parent who was uninvolved, never around, um, a you don't, your self-esteem is low because you feel, well, if I were really important, why didn't my parent engage? You might even feel that way, even if you never had a father around. One of the biggest issues that a lot of dads have who are trying to do a real good job parenting their kids, if they didn't have a dad around, they don't know what a dad gives. So they don't know how to give it, but they know what they didn't get and they don't want to repeat that. But until they understand what they didn't get, it's hard to give that to their kids. That's why it's important for us to look backwards a little bit. So think about your parents. Did your parent have a bad temper? If so, you might be exhibiting a bad temper with your kids, or you may be going in the opposite direction and never show anger at your kid or your spouse. Were your parents accepting? Did they just love you anyway, even when you messed up? You're more likely to do that with your kids. Did your parents put a lot of pressure on you? Did you have a tiger mom who said, you better do this? And if you don't practice your piano 8 hours a day and get your homework done and get straight A's, then your world is going to fall apart. If you had a mom like that or a dad like that, that's going to affect your parenting for good or for bad. So you can either become a tiger mom or you can withdraw to the point it's like, I'll never do that to my kids. I'm not going to. So think about these things. Were your parents warm and empathetic? And are you that way towards your
Recording in progress.
Were they distant or uninvolved? Did they accept you for who you are? Did your parents ever come to you and say, as I encourage parents to say to their kids, look, if you sat in the closet the rest of your life, I would not love you any less. I would stand outside that closet. I would knock and wait till you came out. I wouldn't care what you did in that closet. You are mine. Even if you don't perform, and even if you don't this, I will love you no matter what. So after we're done here, I want you to take a piece of paper and on one side, I want you to say what you got from your parents, what they did and what they didn't do, right or wrong. Don't write all the things they did wrong and not all the things they did good, because I'm sure they did. And then really look at how you're parenting today and why are you doing what you're doing. It will be a huge eye opener and it'll improve your life, because the more you know about you and the more you know about your kids, the better relationship you'll have with them. Let's move on. Personality and preload. Really important to understand each. You don't want to get stuck on yourself. You don't want to be so introspective that you're not paying attention to anybody else. So it's really important that you use what you learn to improve your relationships with your kids. Let me just kind of go through and give you some examples of parents that I've had, and then I'm going to open up for questions. Um, I have seen the authoritarian parent many, many times, and these are parents who are so strict with their kids. And many times what happens, and the authoritarian parents are well-intended. They really believe they know what's best for their kids, and they probably do. And they're so frightened that their kids are going to make mistakes that they push and push and push and push and push, believing that if they pound this into their kids, the kids will do it. That's why we mothers tell our kids things over and over and over. And my husband doesn't do that. He tends to say, well, I told him that once or twice. Why do I need to repeat it 10 times? And my response is, because you do. Because I need to hear I love you over and over. And of course, my kids would. Now, girls may accept that pretty well, but boys don't. After I would say something to my son two or three times, the fourth and fifth time I tried to say, go, stop it, mom, you already told me that. Authoritarian parents tend to pound on their kids and they don't listen to what their kids have to say. What happens then with these kids? And I want to talk about that. And if we can we move the slides forward or no? It's okay if we can't. Um, but as parents go through that, there we go. So, oh, we lost it. Okay, now I'm going to finish out authoritarian, go to authoritative. If you're an authoritarian parent, you run your kid, you control your kid, you teach your kid, your opinion doesn't matter. I don't want to hear it. I'm right, you're wrong. Just deal with it, kid. Now the kid turns 16. They've done everything the parent wants to do, usually out of fear, not respect. The authoritarian parent wants to be respected, but they're really not respected. They're disliked. And they tend to obey out of fear, not respect. And you don't want that. Yes, healthy respect involves a sense of healthy fear. I don't want to let my parents down. My parents do know better. And I want to do it because my parents have talked me through this problem. They've heard what I have to say about it, so they're not going to motor me over. The authoritarian, the child who grows up with an authoritarian parent grows up to be 16 and says, I'm done with that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Case in point, you have a child who's an amazing gymnast, and you see in that child Olympic potential. Maybe she has it, maybe she doesn't. Usually kids don't, because how many kids get to the Olympics? Not many. But as parents who adore our kids, we all like to believe the best in our kids, so we push. So we sign them up when they're 4, and then they're showing some promise, keep going 5, 6, 7. The kid's like, I just don't want to do that anymore. I'm kind of tired. No, you're committed to something, you're going to see it through. Well, I get it. Okay. But really, mom and dad, you're more committed to the kid. The kid wants to go play soccer, but this kid is talented. You push and push and push. She starts competing at a national level and she's 12 and 13, and you're just amazed because you have a star on your hand doing very, very well. And then the child at 16 says, I can't stand it. I hated this. I wanted to quit when I was 10 and you said no. I wanted to quit when I was 13 and you said no. I'm done. And then the kid quits altogether and there's World War III in the home. And the parents crushed because they don't get their Olympian athlete, but also because they feel their child didn't reap the benefits of having a parent who is willing to invest their heart and soul into this kid. That's the parent's perspective. But what the kid saw is a parent who really didn't care about them. They cared about winning through the kid. Ouch. I've seen this over and over. And then the kid will come in at 16 or 17 and they're doing a lot of bad stuff. Grades are dropping, they're rebellious, da da da. And then this is what they always say to me when they come in. 2 things over and over. 1, my parents never listened to me. They don't care about me as a person. They don't care about what I want. They don't know who I am. They don't ask me questions. And this child feels totally isolated from the parents because they believe the parent doesn't know them because they don't know them. And that's the reality. Authoritarian parenting. Authoritative parenting, on the other hand, you have your gymnast, they're 5, they're doing really well, they're really interested in, but they just don't know if they want to continue on, kind of on the fence. Okay, but let's go give it another 2 years. Okay, so they go through it, they hit 7, they go, no, I don't want it, I hate it, I'm done. Parents, okay, what else would you like to try? And they listen to the kid. And they said, well, kids shouldn't make decisions. Yeah, they need to weigh in on things. If your child really doesn't want to take up the cello and they're 9, don't make them take up the cello. But if you think it would be good for them to try some music, what would you like to play? Let's try playing an instrument for a year, just a year. Okay, pick an instrument. Or what other kind of sport do you think would be fun to play? Oh, soccer, whatever. I think it's good for you to play a sport because physical exercise is good, and I think you'd enjoy it. If you're not good at it, who cares? It's another thing an authoritarian parent would never say. They'd never say, go and try because you might fail. Authoritative parent would. They'd say, give it a go because I'm going to love you anyway. And I don't care if you fail. Failure is part of life. So go give it a try. In other words, they love that child and lead them through life, listening to what the kids want. And this is very, very important because if you want your kid to land in a really great spot with great character, utilizing their God-given talents, then you need them to weigh in because you may not know what they're really good at, but they may start to know as they get older. Permissive parents. You know what? Try whatever you like. Let's sign you up for gymnastics. You tried gymnastics and now you hate it after 6 months. That's okay. What would you like to try now? Okay, give that 3 months. No, you don't like that. Okay, what else would you like to try? I don't really want to do anything. Okay, that's okay. For a young child, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But if you have a 10-year-old who's sitting in the basement all the time after school playing games or sitting on her phone and doesn't want to do anything, and you say, hey, getting outside and getting some exercise is a really good thing. I don't want to, Mom. Okay, okay. If you don't want to, that's all right. You're happiest doing this, and I want you to be happy, and you know what makes you happy, so you can keep doing it. Well, let me tell you something. What makes me happy is eating candy and Cheetos all day long. Okay. But if I ate Cheetos and candy all day long, I'd be 350 pounds. There is a 350-pound person living inside of me every day saying, can I have candy and Cheetos? And so, you always have to learn, be disciplined about what's good for you. Permissive parents don't discipline their kids. Now, by discipline, I don't mean just, don't do this. And if you do, this is what's going to happen. They don't teach their kids discipline at all. None of us succeed in life at anything: relationships, work, jobs, friendship, faith, without learning self-discipline. Authoritative parent says, okay, you need to try this. It's good for you. You can fail. It's okay. But you need to learn to push yourself. You need to learn to go to your soccer game, even though you don't feel good or even though you don't want to. Now you're creating a leader. A permissive parent says, no, what I really want is for you to be happy, which means, and I'm willing to allow you to be miserable because you really don't know what happiness means. And even though I know what happiness means, I'm not going to teach it to you because it will cause you to be uncomfortable. If you're going to be a good parent, you have to allow your kids to be uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, you need to make a way for them to be comfortable. You cannot just let them eat Cheetos and candy all day long. And I'm so grateful my mom never did. So anyway, thank you, Mom. She's not with us anymore. Okay, uninvolved parent. This is the parent that says, take the bus home from school. And after you take the bus home from school, I'm not going to be here. So go out and play, find a friend to do something with, and just make sure you're back before bedtime. They don't know where the child goes. They completely trust their child to do whatever he wants to do. They don't even care what the kid is doing. And what the kid senses is, my parents don't care. And if my parents don't care, why should I care? They feel profoundly insecure. They feel profoundly frightened because they're getting at any direction. It's like here's a perfect example of an uninvolved parent and a permissive parent too. You take your 5-year-old, you take him to Paris. You get off the plane, you go to the Champs-Élysées, and you say, okay, pick out a restaurant to go to. Eat whatever you want. And the kid looks at you like, Mom, I'm in a foreign land. I don't even speak French. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm not involved in this. You just go find a place to eat. I'll go with you. I'll pay the bill, but that's it. How frightened is that child? Well, that's what it feels like to be brought up by an overly permissive / neglectful parent. They're not involved. They don't care. They don't care if you choose a restaurant in the red light district. They don't care what, because they don't really engage in a relationship with you. And that creates a child who's profoundly frightened, psychologically, developmentally stunted, if you will. Okay, because their cognition and their psyche develop by being engaged with their parents, challenged by their parents, listened to and talked with by their parent. So the neglectful parent is really one who probably wouldn't even take their kid to Paris. Okay, so I was a little off. The permissive parent would. They take their kid to Paris anytime the kid wanted to go because it would make them happy. So the authoritative parent raises a self-confident child who feels loved, guided, trusted to make decisions that are age appropriate. And if you don't know what's age appropriate for your kid, read about cognitive health and ability. Google it on a 12-year-old or an 8-year-old. Then you help your child make decisions. They feel loved, but they feel they have some control. Authoritarian, you don't really matter. My desires for you matter. My needs, my wants. Doesn't matter if you like them, you will do them. Permissive parent, just always feel good during the day and life will be well. Ugh, what a wreck you're creating for their future spouse or their boss. These kids aren't going to get a good job because all they know is how to feel good. And the first time they walk into a job and they believe they should be paid $200,000 a year, and a month goes by and their boss goes, "Whoa, you can't just sit at your desk." Why? I like reading magazines. And my parents said, "This is fine as long as I'm happy." That's an extreme. And the uninvolved parent, you know what that's like. Either you had an uninvolved parent or your friends did. Okay, let's move on. I think can we go to some questions here? Again, Parenting Great Kids community on my website, meekerparenting.com. This is what we do. We talk about this. I'll create a video on a topic you are dying to hear about, even if it's more on parenting, because I'm just kind of touching the surface here. Okay, can we go to the next slide? I'll take a drink. Okay, so long-term impact, we talked about where these kids land. The authoritative parent teaches a child, I will listen to you. I will have empathy for you. Your feelings matter. Now that you feel that way, you go into your parenting knowing what empathy feels like and looks like and how to give it, knowing what listening looks like and feels like, how to listen, knowing what embracing your child and building a healthy self-esteem and teaching your child that your beliefs matter because your parents taught you that. Now you bring it into your parenting. So this is how your parenting preload really impacts you parenting your 1, 2, 5, 8 kids because you reproduce it. Authoritarian, you go into parenting either over controlling your kid or having no clue where to start, having no clue how to be empathetic or loving or kind towards your child. All you know is implementing rules and making them happen, but you don't like it because it didn't feel good as a kid, but you don't know what else to do. Permissive. You know what it feels like to feel good all the time. You want your kids to be happy, but you don't know what rules look like or feel like. So you don't know how to implement them. So you just pick your way. So you feel loved and you feel that somebody listens to you, but you feel in the end that your opinion doesn't really matter. Their opinion doesn't matter. They're not going to do anything. Just, let it rip, whatever you want to do. And uninvolved. Absent parent. Many of you had an absent parent. Maybe you had a divorced parent who left the home and said, "You know what, my kids don't like me, they don't want me," which a lot of divorced parents feel. And you're really on your own. Those kids grow up too soon. They don't have a sense of self-esteem, and they take that into their parenting. And with no self-esteem, they go into their parenting um, um, not knowing really what to do. And so they're confused the first 10 years of their parenting, and that's kind of tough. I'm going to stop there. I want to hear from you. This is all about you. I want you to shoot me any question you have. And so let's do it. Okay, gals, shoot me questions. I can't
Hey
see him.
Meg.
Hi.
This is
Mm.
I'm Gideon's wife Kayla. We're on
Hi.
together. He invited me along.
Great.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Gideon and Gideon's wife, Kayla, you said?
Yes,
Great. Nice to see you.
thank you. So our question, we've done a lot of work with our parenting styles and our parenting background. And so we are both authoritative parents
Excellent.
and are both like see eye to eye with that. But Gideon was raised in a permissive household.
Mm.
I was raised in a authoritative household, but my dad was abused as a child in an
Oh,
authoritarian home. So that came into play in certain situations when I was growing up. And so with my own trauma that I've had in my life, I've noticed that I sometimes will fall into that authoritarian category as well.
mhm.
So the question is, what are the things that Gideon and I should pay attention to as our 4 and 2.5-year-old are growing, knowing that we both function authoritatively, but
You
when like in
slide. Yeah.
high stress situations, like he will slide to permissive and I will slide to authoritarian.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you. I absolutely love it when I see parents who are really trying to figure this out. Because the truth of the matter is, we all bring a preload into our parenting.
Mm.
Usually, it's not that great. If you've grown up with abuse in the history, were you abused?
No.
Okay. But the ramifications of your dad's abuse fell onto you and affected you. So
Right.
when you feel a situation is coming up and some of that old stuff rises up and you go authoritarian because
Hmm.
that's all you know what to do. Remember, you're not the little kid anymore. You're not your dad and you're not your mom and your kids aren't you.
Hmm.
So when you feel yourself really bringing the hammer down, you go, wait, where's this coming from? Did my kid really do something bad enough that he needs to have me come in and really put the hammer down? Usually, no. So you need to peel off of yourself your little girl and your dad to free you up to parent your way. And then you need to peel your little girl off your kids. They are not you. And as
Hmm.
far as Gideon goes and the permissive, you probably grew up feeling that you didn't have any kind of direction. So giving direction to your kids is going to stifle them. It
Mm.
doesn't. It trains them to be disciplined people. We all live with rules. Any of us who are successful at what we do, relationship, whatever, we know rules and we know boundaries. And permissive parents are very uncomfortable giving kids boundaries. You probably had few boundaries. And now you come to give those boundaries to your kids and you feel mean. You're not. A good parent, as a matter of fact, err on the side of giving too many rules. You don't have to be harsh with them. You can always take them away. But once a kid's used to doing something, dating at 14 and staying out to whatever she wants, it's hard to say, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. You can
Mm.
always take away, but it's hard to add. So, getting, you need to get comfortable setting boundaries. And, Car, you need to get comfortable recognizing in your parenting what is you as a grown up and that your kids aren't you, they're their own people.
Mm.
The
Hmm.
biggest mistakes that parents who are authoritarian make. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does.
So we
Good.
have a specific situation right now that we're struggling in this area. Um, I am I'm a teacher during the school year, so I'm off right now on my summer break. And I've noticed an uptick in the amount of whining my 4-year-old does when she
Yeah,
doesn't get the
his
answer
way.
she wants. And so, we're trying to navigate like what does that look like to, allow the developmentally appropriate stuff to happen, but also um,
Set up boundaries.
set the boundaries.
Set the boundaries. All 4-year-olds whine.
Right.
I have grandkids, and I'm telling you, I have a screamer who comes over.
Oof.
I feel like putting in
We
your,
don't have a screamer, thank goodness.
oh, but a whiner, that's close. But
Yeah.
who was with your child during the school year? Babysitter, daycare?
Babysitter.
Did she
She's
whine for her?
no.
Right. Because here's the thing. Kids act worse in front of their parents, in front of anybody else. I see this all
Right.
the time with my grandkids. They're wonderful for me. Mom or dad walks in the room and they turn into monsters. I'm like, what happened here? And then my kids get defensive. All 4-year-olds whine. Okay. So what you need to discipline for first before the whining is what are they whining about? I have to have a popsicle. I have to have a popsicle. I want a popsicle. I don't care if your dinner is in 20 minutes. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You know what, honey? No popsicle before dinner. And if you're upset at buying or wine, you got to go in the other room and do it because you can do it. I just don't want to hear about it. And you are going to first have to take her and take her and take her and take her into the other room. But what she needs to learn is that whining gets her put off by herself and she doesn't really like it. You're not abandoning her. You're setting a very easy, soft, simple rule for whining.
Okay.
That
Okay.
makes
She'll
sense.
outgrow her whining. But the last thing you want to do is give in to her whining and give her the popsicle.
Mm.
Terrible. Can't do it.
So yeah, I would say that we don't give in to the thing, but I think that's when my authoritative parent comes out.
Authoritarian.
Or I'm sorry, yes, the
Authoritarian. Yeah.
authoritarian parent in me comes
I don't
out.
know whether it's authoritarian. I think it's frustration.
Okay.
I
Sure.
Well,
think you're at
that's
the
when
end.
I would say,
No,
okay,
no, no. You're
okay,
frustrated. Go out in the backyard. Leave her in the kitchen. Really,
okay.
you that's not authoritarian. That's just frustration and anger, and that's natural and normal. Let yourself
Okay.
off the hook a
Okay.
little. Hmm.
That's what I
Yeah.
would have said was me slipping into the authoritarian parent is
No, no.
like I've already given you the boundary.
No, authoritarian's it's a pattern. An
Okay.
authoritarian would say, stop whining, stop whining, stop whining, stop whining. I'm going to take you to a room and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to tell you to stop whining. Stop. That's an authoritarian.
Okay.
An authoritative parent who's sick of their kid whining is going to stop it. I can't take this anymore and take
Okay.
them in the other room. But then when she comes back, okay, you done whining? Let's make brownies. Let's cook dinner.
Mm.
Okay.
That's an authoritative parent, not authoritarian.
Okay.
Got that.
Um,
Okay.
Very
Thanks for
helpful.
calling.
Thank
I
you.
think we'll move
yeah,
on. Alicia, do
thank
you have a
you.
question? Alicia?
Yeah, we have to go on mute.
Yeah.
Yes, she has a question, Meg. She said, besides the parenting style, is there a complementary and different way mom or dad exercise authority?
I think I'm here. Can you
Oh,
hear
you
me?
are.
Yeah, well, that was the question. I mean, is there a way we complement each other as mom and dad that's different than, oh, I mean, I get this parenting styles and on board with them. But
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Uh-huh.
as I said, you may be 90% authoritative, 10% permissive. Your husband may be 50% authoritarian and 50% uninvolved. So there's a combination.
Mhm.
Here's the most important point. You're not going to be the same. You don't want to be the same. Usually, one of you is more authoritative, carries more respect in the family than the other. Often it's the father, but sometimes it's the mother if dad's a real passive person. So it's okay. The most important thing is that between the two of you, um, you set rules for your kids, boundaries, very clear, and you both agree on if the boundaries are crossed, this is what's going to happen, and that so kids know how to live within boundaries and discipline themselves, live in boundaries. But on the other hand, they're given lots of love and attention and affection. So it's not going to be equal. If one of you starts to yell consistently at the kids, the other one needs to pull them and say, hey, what is going on? Why are you yelling? Is this really about the kids or something else going on? If one of you starts to back out and be disengaged with the kids, which happens in somebody who's going through an emotional struggle, family struggle, or work struggle, they tend to disengage. The other partner picks up the slack, okay, goes to the spouse and said, you know, how can I help you? That's a healthy teeter-totter in parenting. And as long as you guys are okay with it, in our family, okay, my husband was always more my kids were, they weren't afraid of him. They respected him. Dad only had to say no once. I had to say it 6 times. And then I was ready to scream. And then the kids did what they're supposed to do. That was my fault, not their fault. So, I kind of worked on it, but it worked because overall the kids got the boundaries. They usually didn't cross them. If they did, consequences were reasonable, but they always got that love and affection. But we did keep expectations that they could live within their boundaries. I hope that helps.
Yes, helps very much. Thank you.
If you have questions and you're listening and you want to know about your parenting style, or if you feel you need to make changes in your parenting style, come to Parenting Great Kids Community, PGK Community. Here's where I can talk to Alicia longer. I can talk to a parent who's struggling with something with a child longer. No question is off limits, ever, ever. I talk to kids and parents about sex all the time, and I give them the sound medical advice. I've created videos about how to talk to your kids about puberty and sex and all sorts of things. I've taken care of abused kids. I've taken care of Olympic athletes. I take care of a lot of doctors' kids, and I work in doing medical mission work where people don't even have any medications. So this is a place where you can come and you don't even have to say your name if you're embarrassed. Doesn't matter. Just let's solve your problems. So it's really a place that I built for you. As I said, I'm not speaking around the country. I'm not writing any books. I'm really devoted to just answering your questions and helping you parent the way you want. My job is not to tell you what to do or to parent my way. My job is to help you be the best parent you want to be, unless you're really going in the wrong direction. And I have seen that happen. I had a child in my practice. I was doing a kindergarten physical once, and I was talking to the kid, and dad was behind me, and I was asking the child questions, and a couple of times dad would pipe in. Oh no, she doesn't. She goes to bed at 10. And dad answered a question once, and this 5-year-old little kid looked at him and said, "Dad, shut up." Oh, and I thought in my mind, little one, you need a spank. And I'm not a spanker, but I'm going to take you out since I spank you. And dad was like, "I'm sorry I put you in a position where you felt you had to yell." Now, that dad's going in the wrong direction. And then we had a chat without the child there. Usually I have to ask, parents to sort of step into the hall, and I'll talk to the child, and parents step back in. This time I had to have the kids step in the hall and talk with dad. Permissive parenting was going to kill this kid. So that's the kind of thing that we talk about through in my community. And I really, really enjoyed doing it. I've been a pediatrician for a long time. I've written tons of books, and it's really the best job ever. And helping you raise great kids is really what it's all about. I don't know if we have any more questions right now. I'm really, guys, I'm learning this whole answering question things, so I apologize. I'll get this down because so I also want to tell you if there are topics that you want to hear about or you're confused about, send them into the PGK forum, and I can, create a video. It's easy for me, and answer questions and talk to parents. So it's great. Now I want something else from you. One, in the chat box, whether you've asked questions or not, I don't care. Answer this question. What's your biggest parenting challenge today? Right now. Once you get off, we know that Alicia's daughter's going to whine, but what's your issue? What are you struggling with right now? 2, how old are your children? I love to know. Do you have girls? Do you have boys? Do you have one child? Are they adopted? What are their names? I love to hear that. Where do you usually get your parenting advice or information? Yes, I want to know that. Yeah, I do want to know that, because good parenting advice is critically important. There's so much bad parenting advice. And you don't want to just listen to somebody who's going to tickle your ears and is going to tell you things that make you feel good. You want somebody who's going to step up to you and go, wait a minute now, wait a minute. Is this the healthiest thing to do for your child, or is it not? Are you doing it this for you or for them? And so good, healthy parenting advice is great. And the thing that, my horn, just a titch, is that having the medical background and being able to take care of kids with physical illnesses, really sick kids, and then knowing the emotional and psychological side, it's really great for me. Okay, where do you get your parenting advice for? Are you married or single? That's going to make a huge difference in how you parent. If you're a single parent, it's hard. But I want to tell you this, if you're a single parent, you cannot be two people at once. You can only be one great parent. And in that one great parent, you can raise a great a great kid, or two or three. One of the things that I do and I love to do is encourage fathers, okay? Because fathers are being lambasted. And kids need fathers. And I wrote a book, Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters, and it's still very, very popular and in multiple languages because I show fathers what their daughters are thinking about them. And then dad goes, oh, that's the way she sees me. That's what she wants. Okay, I can go do that, rather than just coming up with stuff in your head. And so one of the things that I do is I encourage fathers, because we need fathers to not orbit the home, to be engaged. And that means, praising them, telling them what they're good at, telling them maybe where they need good work. I get hate mail from women, hate mail from mothers, particularly single moms who misinterpret what I say as, without a dad in the home, without a man in the home or husband in the home, my child's gonna he has no chance of thriving or doing very well in life. That's not true at all. It's kind of peculiar that we can champion mothers, and dads don't take it personally, but when we champion dads, mothers get mad without realizing, hey, single mom, you need a little bit of help here. You can't be dad and mom, so quit trying, right? You can be a great mom, absolutely, but you need some help. Father, a grandfather, a pastor, a coach, somebody to model to your daughter and son what it looks like to be a good man. And find some help. It's really okay. I think sometimes we women crush other women by saying, you can do it all. You don't need any help. Go for it. Well, that sets her up for disaster. So, do we have any answers in the chat box? I can't see anything, but if we did, I'd love it. Or you can even come on and say them, out loud if you want to. I also want to, I was thinking about, as I was talking, I don't want to go off on a whole new bunny trail, but talk just for a second. When I said that my job in my practice of pediatrics is to not tell parents how to parent, but tell them to understand their kids so then they can go parent, but also to help parents make their decisions. We're living in a medical world that doesn't want that. Now, a lot of this happens. You parents will call up a doctor, you want a new doctor, and the secretary will say, will you immunize your kids? And you go, well, that's a rude question. Why will you not take me if I don't immunize your kids? And they'll say, no. Now, here's why that's happening. It's not that doctors are jerks or saying, well, we won't see if you immunize your kids because we're in control. No, insurance companies won't pay us if we don't immunize your kids. Not only that, on time. So if we don't get our kids in our practice immunized at 2, 4, 6 months and right on time as they get older, we don't get paid and we're dinged as a pediatrician. And a lot of pediatricians just can't make a go of it. So I just wanted to tell you that because a lot of parents ask me that. Why in the West? That's a rude question, and that doctor is trying to be controlling. No, the doctors are controlled. We don't want to control you. We're trying to work in an environment where we're being fairly controlled. We were told what to say about COVID vaccinations, and if we didn't do it the right way, we could have lost our license. Never in the history of medicine of mine have we ever had issues like that. Ever gotten an email that I would lose my medical life. Not me, everybody. And so we're operating in a system that's really stifling here. I don't want to get off on that. But I just wanted to clarify that because a lot of parents are really ticked. In our practice, we take patients, my husband, I don't know if our partners do. We have 9 doctors in our practice. We take patients who aren't going to immunize because we feel that we want to work this through with our patients. We want to address fears and questions and so forth. And if we don't get paid that day, okay. But we have to, obviously, we have a huge practice. We have to pay our bills. We have to sort of pepper things out throughout the year. And the patients who don't want to immunize. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of clarify that for you because a lot of your doctors may be giving advice that you don't like or whatever. It may not be because they want to. It's just kind of what they're forced to do. Meekerparenting.com. Go to my website. Get your friends to go to my website. If you like this webinar, send it to them. Sign up for our Parenting Great Kids community and talk to me. Let me help you. I've been at this a long time. I've heard every question. I've heard every kid say anything. I've taken care of all sorts of kids, and I love helping you help your kids. So let your friends know that meekerparenting.com, Parenting Great Kids community. It's not expensive. Jump in, give it a whirl, and let your voice be known because we really need some. You're raising your kids in a crazy world. I'll just say that it's crazy. It's crazy out there. You're going to be getting advice that's terrible. And so don't. Okay. I will promise to do my very best to give you medically sound, psychologically sound parenting advice. And then you make the decisions that you feel are best for your family. So thank you so much for joining me. Pay attention to your emails and my website. We're going to be having other webinars. And if there is a topic you want to hear about, I'd love to hear about it. Next month, I believe we're going to be talking about AI and screens and things like that. So send your questions in ahead of time. And if you can't be on the webinar and you need to watch it later, that's fine. Send your question ahead of time and I'll do my best to answer it. So, and then you can go back and watch the webinar again. So hope to see you guys soon. I really appreciate you being here. It's so encouraging to me. Have a great weekend and God bless. Bye-bye.